We're back. So I have a very special friend. I have Red here. Say what's up.
Hey, what's up?
Obviously, this patch hasn't been too great in the eyes of the community, and I guess one of the characters that people are just confused about, Goldlewis. I think a lot of people are pretty upset that they feel their main actually got less buffs than Goldlewis, or their main got nerfed. Millia players, right? And Goldlewis is like walking the streets. I know there's a lot of discourse about it, so I kind of want to clear the air, see what the best thinks, and yeah, we're here. So the first thing I'll ask you about is the security gauge. Or actually, better yet, let me ask you about your thoughts on the Goldlewis changes just in general, because a lot of people are confused that he even got buffed. I think most people thought he was going to get nerfed to just get nothing, but it seems like he got some pretty impactful changes, and it seems to be kind of freaking people out on what he's doing, like the special cancel BTs. Do you think he actually did get way stronger in power level, or do you think people are kind of a little overreacting, like it's just like a little slight buff, or what do you, is it nothing? Like, I'm kind of curious.
I think, as always with Goldlewis, people always really kind of overreact to anything he gets.
Yeah.
He's probably the most, or one of the most hated characters in the game. But when it comes to the actual buffs he got, he did get a really significant like power level increase.
Yeah.
A lot of the buffs are really impactful, and kind of unrightfully so, because I did think he was at least in a good spot last patch. I don't think he was like in dire need of help, or he needed to get patched back into the game or anything. When it comes to like the actual changes themselves, they don't really like fundamentally change like all that much, but they do just make some aspects of his offense stronger, and they make some of his combo routing stronger. One of the buffs that kind of went under the radar for a lot of people is the 2-4 buff, because they made the range of this BT way bigger, and that affects his combo. So before last patch, for example, he would only get this off of a close slash hit. Like this is the max combo he could get, but now instead he can do this if you could reset. I actually fucking dropped it because I suck. What would happen there is whenever you get this hit, you can pick up a 2-4 now and continue the combo and get more damage.
I see.
It's pretty weird they gave it to him. I don't think they needed it.
Before we talk about the specific BTs, I guess, and the better buffs that they got, let's talk about the security gauge first. Let's go from security gauge, and then we'll talk about how that ties into the new special cancel mechanic from the security gauge. So obviously the security gauge got, I believe it slowed down, so it doesn't just fill as fast. Something, I believe this kind of like...
It's actually incorrect. This
really?
was a shadow buff that they didn't talk about for some reason. Well, I mean, they mentioned it by talking about the speed at which it regens. Security gauge, actually, like the total bar itself regens much faster than last patch. Previous patch, like, you spend the security, whatever, it goes down, goes to 0, right?
Yeah.
In the previous versions, it took 8 seconds to go from 0 to level 3. In current patch, it takes 6 seconds. So they sped it up by 2 seconds for the total bar. I'm not sure why.
I understand that now with the BT special cancels, so it drains security. I'm not sure like the exact amounting on like each BT special cancel it takes. I'm gonna guess you could do up to like 3 max if you have max security.
Yeah, it'll always drain a level of security anytime you do a security cancel.
Okay. As cringe as the change may be, I believe it does allow for more character expression due to now, obviously you can choose to use drone in neutral, or if you want to play more of a cash out type of style, maybe like safe, like play neutral, rely more on White Wall Assault and, obviously JD. And then when you get that turn, then spend it and go crazy, right?
Yeah. They made it cost like more expensive because now there's like a penalty to your security. If you ever spend a security in any way, it pauses regenerating for a set amount of time, depending on what you did. So like, for instance, if I do Skyfish, I don't regen security for like 220 frames, I believe. So there's risk between like using that. Or if I use drone, obviously I don't get it back until the drone despawns. So Goldlewis either spends the security in neutral to get in and have an easier time getting in, or he saves it so when he gets a hit, his offense is stupid.
Yeah. If you had to rate his offense from last patch, how much better is it now that security cancels are a threat? Because there's been time where I'm fighting Goldlewis and I'm like, oh, okay, he's gonna do like his normal BT, and then he's gonna try to like reset me. He's gonna dash too far in and like press a button like a 2K, but it's gonna be fake. I'm gonna mash, and then he does a BT, and it's like, oh well, I just man.
Yeah, it kind of patches the hole he had and like some strings he had on offense. Like for instance, 6A4 is like the biggest one in my opinion. This is like the -5 on BT Goldlewis does to end a block string, right? But now if he does that in your face, he can do something like this. Oh, I actually do where he can security cancel it, and that's, even though there's a gap there, that's going to beat any mash in the game on that gap.
Yeah.
And it's pretty strange. Now, he can just kind of unfairly like cover it as long as he has security on his offense. There's not as much of a like, okay, I could actually interact with him now whenever you're blocking Goldlewis, because as long as he has security, you can do a lot of bullshit. Like he can do this, jump scare you with another BT and RC forward, for example.
Yeah.
If you block a -5 BT and you're a little too scared that he's going to security cancel it into something else, he can reset you with a big BT. Pretty impressive. It's really good.
Now, Goldlewis, with the special cancels, he obviously does more damage. And he can, I believe he can special cancel into his super, correct?
Yeah, you can security cancel into supers. So if I block, like, let's say, or you block, like, let's say a 268, I can do, like, you can security cancel with a pretty good input.
That's actually funny to see. Okay.
Depending on the BT you block, it can be plus. Like, if you block a, it's a weird input for 8-foot too. You have to like do like double quarter circle forward and then do a half circle back.
I see. Okay. When I was talking to another Goldlewis player about this, they mentioned that it was a little more thought out than they said, because apparently you can't go from like high to low. It has to be within the same.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about.
They made it so you can only security cancel on a BT on the same rotation. So if I do, let's say, a 684, I can only do that into either. I can only cancel the 684 into another 684. I can cancel it into an 842 because that's the same direction. I can cancel it into 268, and I can cancel it into 426 because that's all like the same. If you think about it like a clock, that's all in the same rotation. Gotcha. That's all counterclockwise. And the same applies for if I do the other 4 BTs. Like I can only cancel these BTs into a BT in the same direction.
Gotcha.
All that really means is that if you block like a BT that is a counterclockwise direction or counterclockwise rotation or whatever, then he can actually like do pretty threatening cancels. But if you block, let's say a 684 instead, he can only do mids off of this BT. There's no like threat of mix here. There's no actual mix up.
Gotcha. What does the BT cancels on block? Does it help him more versus DPs at all, or is it more just a thing against, you know, just trying to get your turn back? Because I understand that there's some situations. I'm friends with Sid Victor. I mean, he makes it sound like DPs just kill this character. So does this help at all with that, or is it still relatively the same?
It's not that crazy on block versus DPs. Strings like 248 and an 862 only have a 2-frame gap.
Gotcha.
So it's still able to be DP. The main one it helps with whenever you're talking about like anti-DP pressure, I suppose, is you can loop like slow BTs into slow BTs and get more plus frames. Like you can do that on block. And that would like, instead of having that weird situation sometimes where they would block a 486 from a far spacing, and then you would have to run back in and you have to RPS around the DP. Instead, you can just do this. And like just it throws a lot of people off compared to how Goldlewis ran offense in the last patch.
What about specific buffs to beat? I know they buff some like BTs and, you know, particular. What are the more noticeable buffs on some of the BTs that he got that are pretty important?
The main two ones is first off, I've mentioned this way earlier. I said 248 got a range buff. This means if you stand FD this BT, this will always connect, like even from a far spacing, because the 248 range is insane now. It fucking reaches.
Yeah.
This also helps his combo game a lot, as I mentioned previously, where now he can get some weird pickups he used to not be able to because the 248 has increased range.
Yeah.
Like for instance, he can do this. It's insane.
Yeah.
The other BT that got buffed was 486. The first one is that 486 got a range buff. It's now the longest range BT in the game. It's humongous. It connects from about a mile out.
Okay.
And it also got a proximity buff. And what that means is it's a bit niche in what it affects. Is it makes it so Goldlewis BT or 486, it has a sour spot in like the middle frames where the launch is pretty bad and Goldlewis can't really combo off of it, right?
Yep.
But now because of the proximity buff, he can do a combo that would look like this. Because it doesn't sour spot, it picks up and it bounces instead of getting that bad hit that would launch them before.
Okay.
And that makes his combo routing, it improves his combo routing much more.
Got you. I saw that with some setups where I guess not really a setup, but there's some situations where someone would do an air BT, like a falling down air BT, and then you would try, you know, you'd push the land, you'd go to punish the landing, and you get hit.
I'm of the opinion, I don't really think this is that great, because there was also a, like, I guess compensation nerf, if you want to call it that, where they made some air BTs have way more recovery whenever you use them in the air like that. So what it would look like is if you did, let's say like 248 and a 248, there's a lot more recovery on it. Like you can see like the Goldlewis kind of floats in the air there a little bit, and that leaves him like -7 or -10-ish at that spacing. And you can get a really good punish if you block the, like him trying to catch your mash.
Okay.
It is a pretty good gimmick though for people that are used to like just, they see the air BT, they press on the landing and you just catch them sleeping. Yeah, that shit's pretty.
And then I know one of the notable changes as well were to the minigun. Does it do more hits as well on top of being able to control like how much you, like how many bullets you actually want to shoot out?
Yeah, Skyfish and the last version did 30 bullets maximum at level 3. Now if you have full bar, you can do 51 bullets in a row, which If somebody FDs that takes away 30% bar. It's disgusting. The other part it helps out with is they change the properties on hit. It changes based on how much security he puts into the minigun whenever he's shooting it. Let's say if you get hit, if I do a level, like I drain 1 level of security when I'm doing the minigun, then it'll be pretty similar to last patch where he gets a knockdown, he can kind of run up, but he doesn't really get that great Oki. Right? Yeah. But if you get hit by, let's say he drains the entire security gauge, then he gets full Oki off of that minigun. Like he can just run up and get a close slash from full screen, which is huge. That's amazing for a lot of matchups. Like for Happy Chaos, it lets him use minigun and run up and get Oki. Against Asuka, he can shoot Arpeggio and run up and get Oki. Shit like that. It's really good.
Do you think that this style of Goldlewis now helps your playstyle? I know that the memes are that you're very White Waldo heavy, but outside of this, like as an actual game plan, do these help your playstyle a lot, or do you think it's something that is just not?
I'd actually say it doesn't, honestly. I'm not too big of a fan of the way they kind of like balancing Goldlewis, because the part of Goldlewis's offense that I like and I really lean into is I like when he has to make reads on offense. Like he has to make pretty educated guesses. He has to do some weirdo shit. Like you do a running 862 in somebody's face and get a reset, stuff like that. That's the part of Goldlewis's offense I really like. But with security cancels, now it kind of feels like you just do unfuckwithable block strings and you loop it until you build 50 bar.
Yeah.
And I don't like playing that style of Goldlewis, but it's usually the style of Goldlewis that's best in tournament, because that shit is really fucking annoying to deal with.
Of course. And I guess it's weird because looking at what Arxis has done with this patch, it seems they nerfed Bedman's pressure because they don't like players feeling the thought of being put in like some pseudo infinite, right? They nerfed Asuka, some of his spells. Yeah, they nerf some of his spells, so it's not as, like, you know, they can't just take over the screen, and they're not as advantage on block. Like, as you know, like, the lightning Page's spell is...
Yeah, it sucks ass.
It's way worse than it was, and obviously the bit shift is no longer spawning at level 5, right? And, you know, just the green card as well, so you're forced to spend HP, so it seems like you're always in a situation where, even if it does feel somewhat infinite, it's not as strong, and it's gonna end sooner, right? So Bedman, Asuka, obviously, you know, Zato's been, you know, and then you know, so you know, it feels like I think that's why the easier characters keep getting buffed. They want the easier characters to, you know, be more accessible as well. I mean, that's why you see reworks to like Pot, but they also want to get rid of the feeling of like the infinite, right? Like this, and
yeah, they want people to not feel like they're playing single player.
Exactly, and so while you nerf Bedman and other characters in this direction, you buff Goldlewis in this direction, so it's just a little confusing, right?
Yeah, it just kind of comes off as Arxis on one hand, they kind of understand like Goldlewis's problems in previous versions, and they kind of understand like some of the shortcomings he had. Like they buffed his 2K, they buffed 268 on block, stuff like that. Like they kind of understand where Goldlewis was falling short in some areas, but then they just give him random buffs that I don't really understand why. I don't have a logical explanation for why he needed security cancels in this version, or why he needed a really juiced out Skyfish in this version. It doesn't, I don't know, honestly.
I remember it used to be a mod. I think it was like Bedless made a mod of, imagine if Goldlewis could do like BT cancels, and then like
it was a joke in the Goldlewis community. Like Gobo was uploading like fuck ass combo videos where he was canceling BTs into BTs because he thought it was funny, and then they gave it to him.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe we're actually here and he's stronger. I know that there's some argument of where he may be on a tier list. You know, they put him next to the Forbidden One, Ramathal, even though I think she's 20 tiers above him because she's currently bugged. Thankfully, we figured out she's bugged. Thankfully, Arxis, like, you know, fixed it, or is going to fix it. But yeah, as you mentioned, you do believe that his power level isn't like higher.
Yeah, I think whenever they fix the RAM bug, I'm assuming that Goldlewis is probably going to be somewhere around like top 3 or top 2 in the game currently. He's just he has really good risk reward. Like that's always been his thing. He's been a risk reward monster. He backdash back throws you and you fucking lose the game. Out of nowhere. They just keep leaning into that and they keep buffing his numbers. It's kind of hard to have a character that outnumbers him in a first 3 right now, besides like Ramathal or besides Johnny or besides Sin, like a character like that.
Yeah, and also everyone did get an HP change. Do you know if he actually got more HP, or did
he got more HP in the new patch?
Okay, do you know if among the characters is he like in the top 5 still of HP, or did he fall off like Slayer.
If I'm correct, he is not counting Oscar with mana. He is top 3 in effective HP.
Oh wow!
He's around Pot and Bedman when it comes to effective HP.
So weird saying Bedman. Oh my gosh, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I remember talking to Sid I believe it was Sam, and he was saying that BT cancel stuff is good, but it is a bit knowledge checky. He says you actually, of some BTs, you can't actually go into, like, it's always mashable a lot of the times.
Yeah, what he's meaning there is there's a lot of BT strings that people are getting fucked up by now because it's early into a patch. Because either they think there's mix where there isn't mix, or they just kind of respect the reset way too much. Like, for instance, like Goldlewis doing this, there's a 13 frame gap on it. And Goldlewis doing this, there's a 7 or 8 frame gap off of it. Mm-hmm. That's just, for example, like one of the bigger gaps on BT cancels. And also the main one, though, is off of 684, like this rotation BTs. As I mentioned before, there's no mix off of this BT cancels. Like, he can't go overhead anytime he does this BT, or he does this BT, or he does this BT, or he does this BT. Like, there's no overhead threat there. Like, it's just mids and lows. And some people get hit anyways by a string like this on block. They're expecting like a Goldlewis to be able to threaten an overhead there, and there's no overhead threat at all. That's what I'm assuming BBM is referring to when he's saying that it's a bit knowledge checky.
Okay, I will say this. So, from someone who plays Sim, the changes that they did to him were okay. I'm not gonna say my opinion on him, but I like that there is now some reward for hitting someone with the overhead, because before it felt like if you just got hit at times, there was no threat to getting hit unless you had meter and you were like towards the corner most of the time, right? But do you feel more happy though that, you know, it seems like, again, because you can only cancel into like the same motion of the BT you did previously, so do you think now you actually have to do your research on some of his stuff? So it's like, you know, oh my gosh, Goldlewis so broken. Like, like now you gotta hit the lap, bro. Like, you know, like you have to hold that, right? I hit someone with sit overhead before, they just got hit. Oh, blah, okay, I'll just mash the next time. He doesn't have meter, no damage. I don't really care, right? Now you get hit, you go through the wall, right? So it's like, like you gotta block. So now it's more of a
Goldlewis is the people that get most like punished by current Goldlewis are people that had a really bad block rate against his overheads, because now he gets like, if I can hit it raw, like, what is this?
It's okay. Here's the thing though, Red. Okay, Luca, here's the thing. It is definitely cringe, but if I play Goldlewis, I'd definitely be like,
I'm not saying it.
Like, some people actually, I can't believe I'm saying this, but some people actually deserve it. It's true. Some people actually deserve to hold that. It is what it is. Such a weird change. No one would have expected this. The last thing I want to ask you is, what was your reaction when you watched the trailer? Like, when you saw him do this? Yeah, like when you saw him do this in like the battle change trailer, where you're like, oh, like, yo, like, there's got to be a mod. Like what? Oh my god! It
was more like a state of like, I guess, disbelief. Coming into patch, Goldlewis was obviously getting complained about at every level of play for the past 7 to 8 to 9 months in a row. So I was expecting Goldlewis to get taken out back and shot whenever season 4 drops. I was expecting them to do some serious changes to his kit, and then the trailer was Looney Tunes. I'm not sure what I don't understand to this day what the thought process is of why he needed this, but hey, I'll take it.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Yeah.
They showed it. People kind of were confused on whether or not they touched the damage and strive off of looking at the trailer, because some characters were doing the same damage, but other characters were doing less damage in the trailer, right?
Yeah.
But like, Goldlewis, they buffed his damage because they buffed 6H. Like, 6H does increase damage, and every single BT now does increase damage. So he can just kill you.
Yeah. I've seen this. Oh, only a mana popped, it's crazy, dude. Like, it's, you know what it reminds me of? I remember the devs were like, before like season, or like going into season, they were like, yeah, you know, we actually want to like tone down the damage a bit. So like, DLC, like, you know, basically like, oh, bet they want to tone down the damage. Okay. ABBA. Wait, what?
Slayer.
Like, Slayer. We're just sitting there like, wait, what? You just said you wanted to tone down the damage of the game, and then you just drop Slayer. Like, what's going on? And then they're like, oh, you know, and then they're like going to the patch. Well, we actually made it harder to get like max damage potential routes. And we're like, oh, okay. and Goldlewis, you know, it's just, I don't get it. It's just, they're like, oh, we have to nerf Bedman. His pressure is like, people are complaining about it. They don't know what he does.
Lilia Capella's too fucked up. I don't know.
And then Ram jails you full screen with the sword. Goldlewis doing this, like,
block Ram round start, and you're in a 30-second block string,
dude,
with no
like,
gaps.
It feels like they have the right idea. It's just so poorly executed. Like, dude, I saw a video of Nago comboing into Bite, and I fell to my knees, dude. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Oh,
Of like it was a Nago combo with RC, and it was like 3 6Hs, and it did 70%.
oh yeah, dude, that video. Oh man, this patch does not make sense, but I mean, I guess we'll enjoy I guess you'll enjoy the fun for a little longer until.
Oh yeah, sure.
Until the devs do something, which I know that one of the director was like, "Yo, I see no one fucks with this patch, so like, I'll talk to the team, we'll see what we can do." So I guess for a little longer, you Goldlewis players get to bathe in this, whatever you even want to call it. I appreciate. I believe that's everything. I will put Luca's Twitter and Discord on the screen. I don't believe you stream anymore, but in case you ever do come back to stream, I'll put your Twitch.
Yeah, I haven't streamed in a while.
I'll put your Twitch on the screen as well in case you ever do decide to come back. I appreciate you hopping on. Hopefully this helps clear up some of the changes for Goldlewis. I know most people, like myself, kind of know, they see the BTs and they know what they do, but when they read like the input to the BTs, they're like, oh, like, wait, which one is that again?
It's like reading hieroglyphs.
Right? It's a different language. So I appreciate you coming on, and until next time, thank you.